Another fine thing here is that we can see that God is placing his man in the halls of power.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like that. I mean, it's a baby in a boat on a river.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Chinook podcast. We are gathered here in our podcasting room again with Jamie this time.
Hello.
Yeah, he's back from Presbytery. He made it back in one piece. And yeah, I guess we're ready to just have a chat about some books and enter into the book of Exodus.
Yeah, it's been a while since Jamie was here, so welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
I perceive that I may be the only one fully awake this morning. Both of these brothers, Brad and Nathan, are both new dads to, well, you're old dads.
Old dads, but
old dads of new kids.
New kids.
There we go.
Yeah, between the two of us, we have 9.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, Jamie, between the one of you, how many?
Between the one of me, we had 8.
Yeah. And how many grandkids?
12 now.
Okay.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
It's a growing number.
It's growing. Yes, it is.
it is. So a nation. Yeah, we're about to talk about the formation of a nation today.
And the 12 tribes.
Yes.
I'm a little doubtful I'm going to be able to aspire to such a matter, but who knows what God will do.
Yes.
So who wants to start with the book review?
You go.
Okay.
One of you two.
We'll start with Jamie.
I'll start with the book review.
Okay, well-
Back in the days when my kids were young and at home, and we were looking for all kinds of things to read to them, Canadian history was a little bit hard to come by. But we found a series that had been, I think this had been in the public school system, in the 1950s. It's Great Stories of Canada.
Oh.
And I wanted to offer to you a commendation of the story called Captain of the Discovery. This is it's about 100-page monograph on George Vancouver.
Oh, that's an interesting fella.
Yeah, George Vancouver is the fellow who, of course, the city of Vancouver, the two cities of Vancouver. There's one in Washington State. There's one in BC.
He had a bit of an ego.
Then Vancouver Island.
There's a lot named after this guy.
A lot of stuff named after this fellow. Oh. He was an explorer and sailed actually out of London, or out of Bristol, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Sailed down around South America, went up and wintered in Hawaii, and then came up and met the west coast of North America. And he started at about the Columbia River and started north, mapping the coastline. So he spent 3 years mapping the coastline up through the Puget Sound, all around in Vancouver area, all up in the inlets of BC, all the way up to, I'm not sure if he got as far as the panhandle of Alaska, at least.
Right.
But anyways, I just remember that being a very fascinating read about this story.
And he began the tradition of Canadians overwintering in Hawaii.
Yeah, there you go. the snowbird tradition.
Yeah. And is this the last hunt? So like 1850s or early?
No, it was 17.
Okay, yeah.
It was 1793 when he was on the coast near Bella Coola in BC. Apparently, he and Alexander Mackenzie missed one another by about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Alexander Mackenzie finally found his way across a way through Canada out to the coast. He got to the coast, and I think it was 3 weeks later that George Vancouver was mapping that coastline.
Yeah. And the funny thing is they're both Scotsmen. And if they'd have met, that would have been pretty epic.
They might not have made it out of that.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, right, you get these two Scotsmen that travel different methods in different directions, and then just about meet.
Yeah.
But it's funny you'd say 1793 because on his way going to the Pacific, Hamilton laid out the site for Fort St. John in British Columbia.
You mean Mackenzie?
Mackenzie did, sorry. Mackenzie, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. He laid out the site for Fort St. John, which is the town I was born in. So the oldest continually inhabited settlement in British Columbia is Fort St. John, way up in the north. Because
that's interesting.
It was a Hudson Bay trading post. I mean, there were only like
Right.
2 or 3 guys there for probably the first 30 years, but yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's fascinating. Some of the sociological stuff is fascinating too. You're George Vancouver. You're meeting Native peoples along the coast. You meet Native peoples in this one area, and they say, "Don't go up that inlet. Don't do it. Those guys will try and eat you." Okay. Well, this was the 1790s.
Yeah.
And there were cannibal tribes on the coast of BC.
Yep.
David Thompson ran into a similar thing up against the mountains around Rocky Mountain House and down in the southern Alberta.
Yep.
There were cannibalistic tribes in both of those places.
So they were not really noble savages. They were kind of just savages.
Well, that's not very noble, I don't think.
No, eating people, yeah.
Eating people is
Well,
is kinda
hospitality,
gross.
having somebody over for dinner,
You know, when they
it's
become,
not quite the same.
Yeah. Well, it's
having somebody over for dinner rather than having somebody for dinner.
and this is where the gospel has really improved Canada.
Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
absolutely.
We no longer eat our house guests. Speaking of Thompson, David Thompson, I have his travel journals looking for the headwaters of the Columbia.
Ah, yes.
Now, what it does is it's a series of excerpts from his journals.
Yeah.
So it's not his entire travel journal, just the ones relating to his trips into the Kootenays and such.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting little points. You talk about the cannibal tribes. There's also points where he basically, by force of sheer personality, stopped a war between 2 tribes. Everybody had their guns out. Like it was like a Mexican standoff in a Quentin Tarantino movie. And everybody's got their guns and knives out, and he walks into the middle of this thing and just starts yelling at people. And they listened. I don't know why, but they did. So he managed to get what had happened was an old man and his little family had come across the mountains to do some trading with David Thompson and the other HBC representatives. They had to cross enemy territory to do so, and they had managed to cross successfully, but they got discovered on the way back. And so then a war party went out to hunt this family down and murder them. And David Thompson happened to be with the guy because the guy had said, "Yeah, I can get you into the Kootenay Valley." So, yeah.
Okay.
Great stuff.
Okay, so my book recommendation then, it's the Great Stories of Canada series, The Captain of the Discovery by Roderick Haig Brown.
Sounds good.
Wrote this. Yeah, it was really entertaining. I remember this from several years back.
That's excellent. What's your book?
Well, my book for today is both a hard copy book, but I'm actually listening to it on audiobook on the Canon Press app. So if any one of you want to listen to lots of audiobooks, the Canon Press app is a great place to go.
That it is.
It's a book by Jeremiah Burroughs, who was a Puritan pastor, I think in the 1700s or 1800s. He writes a book called The Rare Jewel of Christian Contentment. And it's actually not just a book, it's actually a collection of 9 sermons where he, in his very Puritan sort of way, goes in depth through the topic of contentment, and he just preaches again and again and again on it.
Yep.
And some of the points he repeats over the sermons, but there's lots of gold and there's lots of good content in there. And there's lots of good stuff for growth and holiness as a Christian. So I definitely recommend it.
Right.
The Puritans were thorough.
Yes, they were very thorough. So he has one sermon, and that one sermon has like 12 different lessons on contentment.
They didn't do 3 points and a conclusion.
No,
No,
they
not
just
at all.
kept going and going.
Actually, that's something I've as a note. That's something I've found very useful in my own attempts at preaching. Instead of trying to do 3 points, and a conclusion, I just follow the text. And whatever applications appear, that's the conclusion. I just take, let's say I would go through a chapter of Judges.
Yeah.
Like I did with chapter 20 in the last sermon. And there were 4 main things that really stood out in the text that I thought I should draw out. And I just used those applications as my conclusion.
Yeah.
So just maybe it was 6, maybe it was 8. Who cares?
Yeah. So you start by reading the text, you start by showing what the text says, and then you start by breaking it up into different teachings or
themes
or themes. Yeah. Depending on whether it's a story or it's poetry or something like that.
Or something didactic or,
that can shape the direction of how you frame your sermon.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 points in a conclusion. I can't find too many passages that do that.
We're going to have a whole episode on sermon writing.
I think we are. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Homiletics.
Yeah. That's the fancy word for it. Okay, so my book.
We love fancy words because we're weird.
Yeah. Okay, there's a thing about weirdness.
Well, there's a thing about big words.
Yeah.
And big words are shorter than short words are.
Occasionally.
I remember learning this because you can say more with a big word than with a whole bunch of little words. Let's see. Let me try this. Eschatology. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 syllables.
Yep.
The study of end times.
The study of end times or last things.
That's like
people still ask you to explain anyway, right?
Yeah.
Well, then you get to talk twice as much.
Right.
Yeah.
You can say more with less with a big word.
You can. However, one of the problems with big words is you can use them to obscure meaning.
Yes, you can. You can use them in a nefarious way.
You can.
And I feel like in ecclesiastical culture, a lot of church leaders tend to do that at times.
Yeah. And
not all of them, but
and another thing you can do with big words is you can mask your own ignorance.
Yes, that's
which is a type of deception.
Right.
Yeah. So if you can't explain the big word to a 6-year-old, I'm not sure you understand it.
Yes.
We'll have to have another episode on this. On big words.
Man, we're rolling. Now, Pastor Nathan and I are both sleep deprived, so we're going to chat ad nauseam. Okay, so my book recommendation is a fine book. It's the 3rd book from the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis called The Horse and His Boy. This is my favorite book in the set, by far. It's a book of spiritual journey. Shasta's being pursued by lions and driven into from danger to danger. He doesn't understand that this is all the providential care of Aslan for him,
right?
To bring him from slavery into liberty. It's a very Exodus book.
Yeah, it is a very Exodus book.
And he becomes who he is, who he really is, or should be, the son of the king at the end. Right, because he is the kidnapped son of the king. It's very much like Israel in Exodus, and it's kind of fitting. We're in Exodus, but so Nathan here he put up he shared a Doug Wilson article on our Signal chat group that I went and read, and he quotes from this passage in A Horse and His Boy, and it just reminded me the other day when I was reading that this is my favorite part of my favorite book. Lewis is describing the Narnians walking around in the downtown of the
Tashbaan,
the Calorman capital, and the way Lewis describes this city and the people in the city, they're quite brutal. They're brutal, brutish, mean, imperialistic people who don't. Yeah, they don't. There's no real. Goodness described. It's just brutish. But then you get to this party. There were about 6 men, and Shasta had never seen anyone like them before. For one thing, they were all as fair-skinned as himself, and most of them had fair hair, and they were not dressed like the men of Calorman. Most of them had legs bare to the knee. Their tunics were of fine, bright, handy colors, woodland green or gay yellow or fresh blue. Instead of turbans, they wore steel or silver caps, some of them set with jewels, and one with little wings on each side. I like that. I got to get me a hat with wings. A few were bareheaded. The swords at their sides were long and straight, not curved like Calorman's scimitars, and instead of being grave and mysterious like most Calormans, they walked with a swing, and let their arms and shoulders go free and chatted and laughed. One was whistling. You could see that they were ready to be friends with anyone who was friendly and didn't give a fig for anyone who wasn't. Shasta thought he had never seen anything so lovely in his life. And that right there is as fine a description of joyful Christian piety as you can read in fiction.
It is a lovely image of manly men who don't think about themselves much, and they're just carefree and
carefree.
Yeah.
They don't take themselves seriously, but they are serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I love that.
And you can imagine in and there's people like that wandering around.
Oh yeah, and when you run into them, you're like,
that's a Kellerman.
Yeah, and then you're like, and that's an Arn. Yeah. And they don't give a fig. Yeah, as ready to be an enemy as a friend. I like it.
Yeah, the spiritual art of not giving a fig.
Yes. So please do recover that. All right.
Yes.
So the topic today.
We are in Exodus.
Chapter 1.
We did our coverage of Genesis, which we intended to do a flyover, and we wound up flying low.
Yeah.
And I think we spent 9.
Well, I think it was 9.
Was it 9? Or was it 10? Did 9 of them, I think.
I'm looking it up right
Genesis.
now. Yeah. 9 or 10.
We are chastened as we are approaching Exodus about saying, okay, we are going to do a broad overview.
Are we doing a broad overview, or are we going to do like 20 on Exodus?
Well, I don't know how many we'll do, but maybe we shouldn't be quite so bold as to say we're going to get through it real soon.
Yeah, we'll just leave it open-ended.
Yeah, I like it.
I
Stay
think we
tuned
should
in.
do.
Yeah. We may accelerate at certain parts and we may not at others. So, verse 1. We begin with, these are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob. Now, I find it interesting, just off the hop. Mm-hmm. Jim Jordan points this out in some of his lectures, and I think it's an interesting point. In Genesis, the tribe of Abraham is referred to as Hebrews, right? Descendants of Hebrew.
Yeah.
Now they're the sons of Israel. It's very interesting to
mention that.
It's interesting to note when we're looking at the patriarchs in Genesis, Abraham is not a wandering tribesman out by himself. Mm-hmm. He's got a crowd of people around him.
Yeah,
he's got enough people in his retinue that that it can say, just as an offhand comment, the 318 warriors who were born in his house.
Right. Yeah.
Well, okay. There were thousands of people.
Yeah.
Around Abraham, and that expanded greatly in Isaac, and it expanded greatly again with Jacob. Jacob must have had many thousands of people in his camp. Mm-hmm. I would say several thousand at least. When Jacob comes down to Egypt, if you remember, when they come down, the Pharaoh says, "Well, here's the best of the land for you. Here's the land of Goshen. Mm-hmm. You don't need a whole land for 70 people."
Yeah. It's true.
You might need an apartment block for 70 people.
Yeah.
But here's the whole land is given to them, which tells you there are a whole lot of people came down to Egypt alongside Jacob and his sons.
Yeah, and you get in like the story of Abraham, you have Abraham and his servant, remember? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you've got And then in the story of Genesis, we're talking about Abraham, we're talking about Isaac, we're talking about Jacob, we're talking about very specific individuals, the sons of Jacob. But now when we get down into Exodus, there's no apparent distinction being made between the linear descendants of Jacob and all these servants.
Those people seem to have been assimilated into the people of God.
Yeah. So they're associated with the part of the household they're in, and that becomes the tribes.
Yes, this happens again later when we get to the actual Exodus, and Israel comes out of Egypt, and there's a mixed multitude that comes out. Multitude says lots. Okay?
Yeah.
Lots of Egyptian people came out, but you don't hear about them staying a mixed multitude. You hear later about the tribes, and then you start to hear about the nation, which tells me that those people, again, were assimilated into the people of God.
The Egyptians became Jews.
Yeah.
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 And then it becomes really official, I guess you could say, when they enter into the promised land under Joshua and circumcise all the men, because they hadn't been circumcised in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So there's something there where it's finally official.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to me to note, we'll get to these points later in Exodus, but you've got the golden calf incident. You've got in Numbers Beth Peor,
Right.
and the incident with the Moabites. You're still, I think, because that's still the first generation, you've still got a lot of the Egyptian in Israel.
Yeah.
And God hasn't worked it out yet. But it's the children who cross over into the promised land who receive circumcision as a mass.
Yeah.
And the identification of all these people is very clearly sons of Israel.
Yeah.
You belong to me, says the Lord.
Yes, there's this. We have to step way back and look at what God is trying to do. God started revealing Himself to Abram, and He kind of chose him so that he might command his children and his household after him to keep His ways. It says so that He might bring about the things that He's promised to him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the promise of God comes to Abram, but he's just Abram. He's a guy,
Right, yeah.
and then Isaac, and Isaac's just a guy, and then Jacob. Well, Jacob has 12 sons, and you get the seed bed of a nation, because God is intending to build a nation, but His means of building that nation isn't all blood. Mm-hmm. It's not all bloodlines. You know, you think about those two slave girls of Laban's that he gave to his daughters, that wound up being mothers in Israel. You know, they're people from outside that are brought in, and they become fully a part of things, because it was never God's intention to win just Israel.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It was God's intention from the beginning to restore, to reconcile the world to Himself, the whole world.
Yes, all of it.
That's His intention. Yeah. So that's what He's driving to.
So that promise to Abraham, and I think it comes up here in Exodus 1 as well, and we'll get to that, but that Abraham would be a blessing to the nations and that he would multiply and become a great nation. Mm-hmm. It's constantly repeated throughout like all the passages of the Old Testament again and again to emphasize what you're saying, is that the nations will be brought in. They'll be actually truly blessed by the seed of Abraham.
Yeah, and one of the other things about that is that in Exodus, God is revealing Himself as the God who keeps that promise. Mm-hmm. Yes. He's beginning to keep the promise. It's not Jesus yet, but it is a fulfillment of the promise of that type.
Yes.
So we can see when you're sitting there as King David writing Psalms, you can talk about the faithfulness of God, because look at what happened in the Exodus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, He made a promise, He kept a promise.
Yeah.
This is the promise-keeping God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's
in Genesis, He's the promise-making God. In Exodus, He's the promise-keeping God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is one of the great things when you get into the New Testament even, and you're seeing Jesus promising the Holy Spirit, and then in Acts it's fulfilled, right? You're like, oh, Jesus is also the promise-keeping God, right? There's this continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, and God keeps His promise even in the midst of slavery and tyranny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we now, what about timeline and chronology on Exodus?
That's an interesting thing. There are some direct statements. 430 years is given for Israel being
In Egypt.
in Egypt.
Yeah.
There's other places that lead us to believe that 430 years didn't start when Jacob and the 70 went down to Egypt, but it actually started when Abram, way back when, went down to Egypt.
Yeah. And
In Galatians,
yeah,
it talks about that.
yeah.
Have you got that there?
I'm making my way to Galatians.
Right. I think it's chapter 4, I think.
I think. Well, he's talking about in chapter 4 the example of Hagar and Sarah.
Yeah.
But does he mention the 400 in there? But so the other thing too is that Canaan is in the time of Abraham, it's Egyptian territory. A lot of people don't. They claimed it, they fought over it, and they taxed it, so it's theirs. So when he goes down the first time, that's the going down that is referred to. I'm not finding it in Galatians right now.
No, for some reason I'm not either. Okay.
Yeah. But there's lots of talk about the Exodus, the slave and the free woman. Hagar having her own Exodus. Okay, so but when we look at the timeline here, Moses himself in chapter 2 is a descendant of Levi.
Yes.
Only by a few generations.
4, in fact.
4. Yes.
4, in fact. In Genesis 15, when God speaks to Abram there, I want to read that because it talks something about the 4th generation. Let me read this. This is what God says. So starting in verse 12, as the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram. Behold, a dreadful and great darkness fell upon him. Then the Lord said to Abram, know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. But I will bring judgment on the nation that they serve, and afterward they shall come out with great possessions. And as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age, and they shall come back here in the 4th generation. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete.
Mm-hmm. So 4 generations from Levi to Moses.
Well, that did happen with Levi and Moses. You know, there's if you can track out the Judah genealogy at the same time, and there's 6 generations from Judah down. That'd be even from. It'd be through Perez, right?
Yep.
Because
through Perez,
Perez was a latecomer to Egypt, as it were. But 6 generations from him down to a fellow named Nahshon, who was the leader of the tribe of Judah when they were giving their gifts in the wilderness.
So in Egypt, we could say that the tribe of Judah was more fecund than Levi.
That's a short word, but you need to define it.
Yeah,
for
what
us.
does fecund mean?
That means having lots of kids.
Oh yeah,
He had lots of kids. Yeah, I think so.
We need to bring that word back.
I think so because Judah does wind up being one of the the biggest tribe.
Yep.
Of the crowd. So yeah, they were probably good at that.
Yeah.
and Levi just wasn't.
Yeah, Levi wasn't quite as good.
So the women of Judah were extra hardy.
Yes. So there's been some controversy too about the timing of Exodus and all that, because not everyone accepts an early Exodus date, which we all advocate here.
Yes, we do.
And that's why we're saying 4 generations here from Levi to Moses. But if you go with a newer Exodus, you wind up with pharaohs that don't wind up dead in water.
Yeah.
You wind up with pharaohs that died of old age in their sleep.
Right.
And so some people have said, well, this is argument against the historicity of Exodus.
Right.
Which is patently nonsense. If you just follow your genealogy out, you get to an earlier Exodus.
Yeah.
And then you find turmoil and chaos in Egypt immediately following the Exodus.
The Egyptian chronologies, if I understand this right, talk about a people called the Hyksos people who came in and
trashed the place
and ruined and ruled over Egypt for a long time. I think that Israel met those people on their way out of Egypt.
Yeah, it's possible.
Where they come out and they have a big fight with the Amalekites.
Yeah.
I think that was the Amalekite people who were on their way. They'd heard of the destruction already, I'm sure.
And they were heading
because word gets around, they were heading in.
Yeah.
They were heading in to an Egypt that had lost its pharaoh, that had lost its army, that had been devastated by plagues and war and darkness and frogs and all this stuff that had just buried Egypt. And here comes these Amalekite people.
These adventurous
but
wanderers.
So I think they ruled over Egypt for quite a long while.
Yeah, and we'll encounter the Israelite fight with Amalek in Numbers, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. So we'll get to there, but I really think there's a strong case for that.
And isn't there also a bit of a silence in the historical record corresponding to that time?
Yeah. The
Egyptians kind of went silent for a bit.
They didn't. Well, if you read Egyptian hieroglyphs, they're sort of like. Now, I'm not an expert in Egyptian hieroglyphs. I've read what people say about it, but it's sort of like Twitter.
Okay,
like it's like Trump on Twitter. Okay, it was the best invasion. We sacked the biggest cities with the best armies and took the most gold, and it's the best. Yay for us. But you're never going to see like a self-critical analysis of what went wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
How come we have inflation? Like you'll never see introspection in a hieroglyph.
Right.
Yeah.
See the way that people view the events of the Old Testament matters greatly if you have a commitment to it or not.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't, then you're gonna take the Egyptian chronology at face value.
Yeah.
You'll take that kind of stuff, and there. But if you actually study it, you find out they're hopelessly complicated and overlapping, and all kinds of stuff is going on.
Yeah.
That doesn't do chronology well, because chronology is a fruit of Christian faith.
Yeah.
You have a lot of ancient cultures that were circular in their, you believe in reincarnation. That's a circular system where you keep coming back and you keep coming back. But Christianity posits a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
And it's linear. It runs in a line.
Yes.
Okay. And that enables you to do chronology.
Well, this is actually a conversation that I had with a Muslim fellow, because if you read through the Quran, you'll see that the Quran has some histories in there, but they're not actually written in historic format.
Right.
So he reads through the Bible, especially Genesis, Exodus, the first 5 books, and he's like, wow, God is constantly laying out again and again and again the chronologies, the time periods, just constantly showing how history is a linear movement towards Christ. Mm-hmm. And so I just found it fascinating how much that Muslim fellow at least saw the historicity in the Bible compared to other holy books.
Yeah. Hopefully that leads him to faith in Christ.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
Yes. Now it is interesting, because I've tried to read other faith books, I guess, like the Quran. I've tried to read that, and I was dismayed.
Yeah, you get lost.
Yeah, the first chapter of the first book, I was expecting something like, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and here's a linear.
It's chaotic.
It was chaotic. Yeah, so the Quran reminds me of the chaos before the chaos in the water before God began.
Tohu abohu.
Yeah.
The tohu vabohu.
Yeah. Before God began consolidating creation. It's just chaos. But anyway.
Yeah, that's because Muhammad was sitting in that cave with a demon.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another day.
Actually, that should be a topic for another day. So we're in Egypt, and we're going for an older chronology because it makes most sense. Yeah. It also makes sense of the nation of Israel entering into the Promised Land. It makes sense of the archaeological record.
Yeah.
We've got burn and destruction layers on several key cities mentioned in the book of Joshua that correspond with that time period, including Jericho.
Yeah.
There's a significant destruction layer that corresponds to an earlier entry of Israel into the Promised Land. There's also, just the chronology. I think we need to take it seriously. I think people perhaps don't look to the details.
Yeah.
And that's why God put them there. We said earlier, he's the promise making and promise keeping God. By putting in chronological information such as he has, we can timestamp when he fulfilled the promise.
Right.
We can say that's when he did that. And God wants us to be able to do that.
Yeah. So information that we're given in Exodus, starting in verse 8, where it says, there arose a new king over Egypt who did not know Joseph.
And there I think he probably knew of Joseph, but he did not know Joseph's God.
Yes, and he did not love Joseph's God. Something that is characteristic of the Joseph era in Egypt. Egypt loved Joseph.
Yeah.
They loved him. They saw that God was with him. And so everything that he did pleased them. Okay? But he was in their midst for like 80 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was raised to the right hand of Pharaoh when he was 30. He died at 110. So 80 years of Joseph in Egypt, and Egypt walking in faith toward Israel's God. So 80 years into there, when Joseph dies, I've seen some material on Joseph's tomb and how it was a revered thing that the Egyptians built, or his sarcophagus, which apparently when Israel left, he made them make that promise, carry my bones up from here and plant me in Israel. But he was buried in state.
Yep.
So he was still held in honor 80 years in, 90 years in, probably. So you'd think a generation would have had to have passed before someone could arise to power who can be described as he did not know Joseph.
Well, this verse reminds me of 2015 when we got Trudeau. The principal reason we got him was because a bunch of folks were sick of Harper. It had nothing to do with the fact that he was actually a superior candidate.
Right.
It's just we don't like the old guy. And I think that might be at play here.
That might be at play.
Yeah, we just don't like the old guy.
Well, and this guy, he probably wouldn't have lived during Joseph's lifespan at all.
Don't think so.
Yeah, probably not.
So he probably hates the memory of Joseph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he certainly didn't live through the famine at the beginning of Joseph's tenure as prime minister.
So he doesn't actually understand the blessing that was received.
Right. But what he does see is that the Israelites are too many and too mighty.
Yes. And that the land was filled with them.
Which says
Again, the Abrahamic promise.
Yeah, there's the Abrahamic promise, but these people have been multiplying greatly. Back in verse 7 of Exodus 1, there's a sevenfold usage of words that grow.
Yeah.
Okay. The people of Israel were fruitful, increased greatly. They multiplied, grew exceedingly strong. The land was filled with them. I think there's maybe there's 5. Anyways, there's this Israel grew and grew and grew.
Yeah, it's not a small thing.
So I think they probably had lots of kids for one thing. And people defected to them was another thing. So if Israel goes down into Egypt, and let's say there are 15,000 of them. Let's say that's the case because of all that great retinue of people they had with them that needed the land of Goshen. Let's say there's 15,000. And there are close to 2 million when they leave Egypt. There's 600,000 fighting men. Now they've got children, they've got women, and they've got a mixed multitude besides. So figure 2 million people come out of Egypt. What would the growth rate have to be over that period of time? And especially if that period of time isn't actually the entirety of 430 years. What if it's 215 years, like folks often say, who are counting up from the time of Abram until the giving of the law?
Yeah,
430 years between the promise given to Abram and the giving of the law after Israel has come out of Egypt. Okay. So their actual time in Egypt, if it was 215 years, I wonder what the growth rate would have to be. Like if that was just by generation, you'd think that'd be
impossible.
Like
that's hard work.
Like in early Quebec in Canada, there was like I forget what the annual growth rate was, but it was really quite something because they were having, like, every family
was having 10
kids. Yeah. And they grew like mad doing that.
But they didn't grow like this.
Yeah.
So there are people being added. Now, back to verse 7, you said there was a 7-fold growing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there is. It maybe doesn't show up exactly in the English. I just have the Hebrew open here in my Bible Hub app.
Right.
And yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 7.
There is 7.
Yeah, it's a 7-fold growing. Like you've got we're fruitful, increased abundantly, multiplied, grew exceedingly greatly. So there's exceedingly greatly.
Yes.
And the land was filled.
Yes.
So there's 7. It's a complete filling. It is a
yes. There's another 7 that happens shortly thereafter, when this Pharaoh says, "Okay, well, let's deal shrewdly with these people." So they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with heavy burdens.
Yes.
And they built for Pharaoh store cities, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied, and the more they spread abroad. And the Egyptians were in dread of the people of Israel, so they ruthlessly made the people of Israel work as slaves, made their lives bitter with hard service in mortar, in brick, and in all kinds of work in the field. In all their work, they ruthlessly made them work as slaves. That's there's another 7 in there, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things about that is that what happens on day 7 in the creation account?
God rest.
He takes his rest. We're moving in Exodus to rest.
Yes.
At the end of the book of Exodus, we have a tabernacle. We have the presence of God.
From slavery to rest.
Yeah, we are moving in that direction. So we've got, and I think that's why we've got these 7s here. These 7s are highlighting the greatness of Israel relative to Egypt, the greatness of their suffering. Like it's a complete, a complete multiplication of the people. It is a complete enslavement of the people, right? And then,
so it's a crisis similar to what happened before the flood.
Yeah.
And then God needed to make a new world, and it's a crisis similar to what happened at the Tower of Babel. then God needed to scatter and make a new world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's think about timeline here again. When Moses shows up as this baby who his mother is hiding him from the law of Pharaoh that wants all the Hebrew babies thrown into the Nile. Okay. We're not told in that passage how long that stipulation had been in place.
Right. Yeah, we don't know how long that law was on
we
the
don't
book.
we don't know how long that law was on the books. Aaron is older than Moses, 3 years older, in fact. So he would have been. Aaron would have been born during a time like this.
Yep.
Or in a time leading up to a draconian rule like this.
Yeah.
Miriam was older.
Yeah.
So somewhere in that timeline, we know that Moses was 80 when he came back to deliver Israel out of Egypt. Okay, so 80 years from Joseph to his death, 80 years from Moses to the deliverance of Israel. That's 160 years. So
there's not
there's a time period in between. That's the indeterminate part.
Yeah.
We know that in at least part of that time, Israel was free.
Yeah.
And we know that because you can find in 1 Chronicles 7, for instance, you can find an instance of sons of Ephraim up shepherding their flocks up in Canaan.
Yep.
And 2 of them were killed by the men of Gath. Gath is a city near Canaan.
Yep.
Okay? There's a daughter of Ephraim who goes and builds Lower and Upper Beth Horon. Those places show up later. They're part of Israel.
Yeah. That's in southern Israel, yeah.
Okay? So the Israelites, for at least a good long while, had freedom to be able to do that kind of thing.
Yep.
They had mobility. That mobility stopped
With this guy.
when they were enslaved under this Pharaoh.
This turkey.
And what I love about verse 12 is that it says, but the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and the more they spread abroad. And the Egyptians were in dread. They were in dread of the people.
It makes me think of China after they kicked out all of our missionaries in 1949.
It's fine.
The reports were like, oh, the church got wiped out in China. What are we going to do? And then in the late 70s, early 80s, they started opening up a bit.
Right.
And then businessmen, with air quotes, businessmen went back into China and were like, oh, this church has grown. It's like, oh, I wonder.
Well, churches everywhere.
People wonder if post-millennials have a theology of suffering and a theology of weakness. And I'm like, yeah, it's right there in verse 12, because it's as they're oppressed that God multiplies them. And I think you can see that with the church in Canada. If the church in Canada is more oppressed in the coming years, I only expect it to multiply.
Yep. And I think we saw a little bit of that in the COVID thing. I think it was a warning call.
Yeah.
And I think we started to see a little bit of that. A lot of folk started coming back to the church, guys that had wandered far, right? So, and that's still continuing now.
And a lot of people who were dead left the church.
Yeah.
Spiritually dead.
Yeah, they were already out. And now they just they formalized their separation, as it were.
Yeah.
Anyway, so verse 12 I think is a proof for the shape of how the gospel grows.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Suffering drives the gospel home. The Egyptians were also like they were in dread of the people of Israel, so they ruthlessly worked them. I find that very interesting. When you see ruthlessness in an enemy of God, what you're actually seeing is a symptom of fear. I think that's what's being said.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So when you saw the Calgary City Police throwing Tim Stevens in jail,
Yes.
what you saw was fear.
Yeah.
Or what you should have seen was fear.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, we saw a helicopter circling his house.
Yeah.
But you don't send a helicopter after a pastor unless you're afraid of his God.
Yeah.
Whether spoken or unspoken, I think that was what was driving that, was the demoniac fear that I might be cast out of this sick man.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah. And then
Tyranny.
Tyranny, yeah.
Tyranny is a sign of fear.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
and faithfulness is shown in courage. Verse 15. You got the midwives.
Yes.
I love this story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tyrant, in order to be a tyrant, co-opts the labor of the medical community.
Yes, he does. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I see what you're doing, Pharaoh. You got
Yes.
COVID. All right. So, verse 15, the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shipra and the other Puah. Now, interesting, Pharaoh's not named, but these two women are.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's true.
And then verse 16, when you serve as midwife to the Hebrew women and see them on the birth stool, if it is a son, you shall kill him, but if it is a daughter, she shall live. So what's Pharaoh up to here?
Pharaoh is afraid that the Israelites are going to turn against him and overrun Egypt and take over rulership, or at least that's what he claims. That's what he claims. And so what he wants to do is to subjugate them, and you subjugate them by killing off their men and using their women for your own purposes.
Exactly. So this guy's diabolical.
Yeah.
Now, there's a difference here between the Canadian medical community and the Israelite medical community
Okay.
in the response of these midwives.
Yes.
So what do they say?
Although we've seen a good medical professionals who
Yeah, we have.
yeah.
Who pushed back.
Yeah, there were. Now, some of them were ruthlessly silenced.
Yes.
And some of them are so brilliant in their field that you can't get rid of them. And that there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, there is.
Like these Hebrew women, these two midwives were irreplaceable.
They were probably good at what they did.
They were. Yeah, Pharaoh is commanding them, these two, directly.
yeah.
So
Why is an emperor talking to two midwives? Because they are so thoroughly competent in their field.
Yes.
they're professionals.
And they're the ones who are up close also.
Yeah. So remember,
You have to wonder if there's not a cadre of them.
Yep. And you have to also think back to forward to the proverb: "See a man skilled in his work; he shall stand before kings; he shall not stand before obscure men."
Yeah.
So there's something about that level of competency gets put by God into that position to work this salvation.
Yeah.
And I love what these women say. The midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but let the male children live. So they were like, nah, we're not doing that. And then the king of Egypt finds out about this.
Yeah, they didn't tell him. They
No.
just said, no, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and then he finds out that there's baby boys running around. He's like, wait a minute. I told you.
And I just want to point out for a moment that there's something very unique in Scripture about a fearless woman.
Yeah.
Like when Peter talks in First Peter 4 about how Sarah was fearless.
Right.
There's something very powerful about a woman who fears nothing except for God.
Yeah. These women don't fear Pharaoh, but they fear God.
Yeah.
That's stated right there.
Yeah.
They feared God and did not do as the king commanded. This is, these two women are marvelous. May your daughters and your wives be like this, O listeners.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Shipra and Puah.
Yes. These are women of faith. So they're drugged back in by the Pharaoh, and he's like, hey, you didn't do what I told you to do. Now, the Pharaoh, he's a good bureaucrat, so he gives a command, and now he's verifying that it got followed through with, and he found out not. So, but being a good bureaucrat, I don't think is a virtue. But anyway, so the midwives, their answer's great. They're like, look, these Hebrew women, they are much more vigorous than Egyptian women. And
reinforcing the Pharaoh's fear.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're totally playing on
They're
it.
insulting the Pharaoh too.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Our women are better than your women.
Yeah, our women are much more athletic and strong than yours, and these boys just pop out. Now,
We can't even get there in time.
you know, I set my egg timer, and I still couldn't get there in time. And it's funny
Well, they
because
didn't have cell phones back then. So.
they didn't. So they had to have egg timers, right? So it's funny because the Pharaoh has nothing to say in response to that. He doesn't throw them in jail.
No.
He doesn't chop off their heads. He doesn't even call them out on it. He has nothing to say in the text.
Which is,
Very strange.
that is strange.
Yeah.
You know, if you know these gals are disobeying you, and you gave them a command to kill somebody, and I mean, that's a rather forthright command.
There's no ambiguity in that.
So why didn't he take them out?
I think it's because he believed them.
I think it's because he believed them too.
He's like, oh yeah, those Hebrew women, because they reinforced what he already thought.
They reinforced his fears about these Israelite people, that they were greater than the
Egyptians.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the Lord is blinding him with their lie. This is another thing about holy war in the scriptures. You'll very often see women, when they conduct holy war in the scriptures, using deception for holy ends.
Mm-hmm. That happens again and again and again and again.
And again. So you've got, when we were in Genesis, we were talking about Rachel, for example, with Isaac, and Sarah. Rebecca. We're talking about Sarah with the Pharaoh and with Elimelech, or Abimelech. Elimelech's much later in the story. Then you...
Rachel with her dad.
Yeah. Then you've got this story.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we've got Rahab.
Yeah.
The men went that way. Yeah. Meanwhile, they're on the roof. Yeah. They went that way. Go chase them into the hills.
And then the preeminent one of Old Testament ladies was Jael.
Yep. Jael, the wife of Heber. Have a glass of milk. Have a nap. You'll be safe.
And very frequently, it's for the sake of the protection of life and for the sake of the kingdom of God.
Yeah. No, well, there's a common theme of who's being protected.
Yeah.
It's the son.
Yeah.
The son is always being protected, right? So with Sarah, it's the promised son. He's not yet. If Pharaoh takes, or Abimelech takes Sarah, now the promised seed to Abraham is polluted.
Yeah.
With Jacob, it's the inheritance of the son. Here with these two women, it's the literal sons of Israel. Mm-hmm. When you get to, for example, Jael, Israel is my son.
Yeah.
Right? That's what the Lord says about Israel. Yeah. And she's taking out the tyrant to protect Israel. Mm-hmm. And it goes forward. You get to Jesus and Mary.
Yeah.
Right? You've got this thing going on. You get to the book of Revelation, and you've got the woman giving birth to the child fleeing into the wilderness to escape the wiles of Satan, referring to Christ and the church. Mm-hmm. So this is a theme. When women engage in holy warfare, there is a deception of the serpent for the sake of the son.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that.
Yes, and it's important to pay attention to that because we get statements like this. Mm-hmm. They offer their bald-faced lie to Pharaoh because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwife comes to them. So God dealt well with the midwives.
Yeah, yeah.
And the people multiplied and grew very strong.
Yep.
God chastised them for their lie.
Right. Oh, this wasn't...
wait. That's not what it says.
No, this wasn't written by a modern evangelical.
This says, so God dealt well with the midwives.
And he even gave them families in verse 21.
Yes.
Because they feared God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're named. Like, we're still talking about them today, right now.
Well, and this is I've had a number of conversations over the years about whether or not there is actually a righteous lie in war. Mm. So, for example, my great grandparents were all in the Netherlands during World War II, and it's a classic question. So, if the Nazi soldiers walk in and you're hiding Jews, do you tell them the truth or do you lie to them?
Right.
And I'm like, lie to them.
Yeah, 100%.
Or tell them the truth and trick them that way, which is still a form of deception. Like say, oh yeah, they're under the table. That happened, I think, in a story from Corrie ten Boom.
Yeah, she knew somebody that did that. Yeah,
yeah, and the Nazis just laughed at them, and they were like, "Yeah, you're not telling the truth."
yeah. The housewife had Jews under the table.
But I do think very clearly in Scripture, God does allow for a righteous form of lying. Obviously, there's a bad and sinful and wicked way to do it too.
Yep.
But there's a pattern in Scripture of lying in order to protect life.
Yeah, and then when we get to the cross, I mean, we're told explicitly that if the rulers had known what they were doing, they would not have done it. Christ, by how he went to the cross, he's deceiving Satan and his servants.
Yeah.
There's deception happening
it was deeper magic from before the dawn of time.
to quote Lewis.
To quote Lewis.
Yeah, it was. It really was. So these guys thought that they were just killing some traveling, teacher who was causing them trouble and embarrassing them in public. Mm-hmm. Turns out he's the Son of God, their Lord and Messiah.
But Jesus was running a play on Satan that whole time.
Big play. Huge play. Yeah. And then I really wonder what was going through Satan's mind after the temptation sequence when Jesus is in the wilderness. And then Satan comes to him and tempts him, and Jesus just runs him right over.
It's like, man, that was a lot easier with Adam.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, this worked better last time. So anyway, God dealt well with the midwives. They multiplied and grew the people multiplied and grew very strong. So what Pharaoh feared happened. Mm-hmm. They multiplied and grew very strong.
Yeah.
So then he comes out with this in verse 22. Then Pharaoh commands all his people. So he's now not just commanding them.
Yeah, he's not just working through the medical community. He's going direct to the people.
Yep, to the police.
Says, every son that is born to the Hebrews you shall cast into the Nile, but you shall let every daughter live.
Yeah.
Okay, so he tells this to the broad populace. So now the Israelites, it's intended to put them in fear of their neighbor, right?
Yeah, and it's funny to me, but it just doesn't seem to work again. Mm-hmm. I mean, because Moses gets tossed into the Nile. His mother actually obeys the law.
Yeah. Well, she hides him for 3 months.
Yeah, and then she tosses him in the Nile.
Right.
In a boat.
In an ark.
In an ark.
An ark
right.
of all things.
Yeah, and the word ark, it's the same word that was used in Noah's story.
Yeah.
It's the same word.
Yeah.
Passed through the waters. And that's in chapter 2. So in verse 3, when she could hide him no longer, she took him. She took form a basket made of bulrushes and daubed it with bitumen and pitch. So again,
we've heard of bitumen and pitch before. I think.
Yeah.
Remember where?
Where? Do tell.
Sodom.
Yes.
What was inside? Yeah, pits.
There was pits, bitumen pits.
Bitumen pits. That's an oil sand, by the way.
Also, what did Noah seal up the ark with?
Bitumen. Pitch.
I think so.
I have to look back.
I find it interesting also when you read the Iliad, the ships of the Danaans are referred to as the black-hulled ships.
Oh, yeah.
They would
black because they
covered them in pitch.
Covered them in pitch.
Yeah. So Fort Mac is pitch.
Right.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the tar sands up north, the natives used to use that for waterproofing boats. This is an old thing. This kind of oil bubbling to the surface in various spots like Sodom.
Right.
Yeah. You can bottle it and sell it and use it to caulk a ship or an ark. Like this was actually a thing that they would trade in. But yeah, so she takes this pitch
Or build the Tower of Babel.
Yep.
In Genesis 11, verse 3.
Yeah. So she puts the child in it and placed it among the reeds by the river bank. Now the daughter of Pharaoh, verse 5, came down to bathe at the river. So,
do you think
yes.
that Moses' mother knew that the daughter of Pharaoh would come down and bathe at the river?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, if there's something I know about women know what's going on. Okay?
Yeah.
They've got their eyes open.
And they know that the daughter of Pharaoh is going to be a lot slower to kill a baby than the Pharaoh himself.
Oh, because she's
a woman.
She's a woman. She's going to see a baby in a
She's going to
boat.
feel sad for it.
Yeah. She's playing on the pity of
She's
of this
tugging
woman.
on her heartstrings.
And the daughter of Pharaoh knows that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. She looks at this baby in the river and she adopts Moses.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Moses, okay, later we find out that Moses knows he's a Hebrew the whole time. He's not confused about that. So she raises him in her household as a Hebrew.
Yeah.
And her dad is the doofus who said, kill these people. Or he says, throw them into the river. The daughter can say to her father, I found the baby in the river. Your law was obeyed.
That's right.
What's your problem?
Now let me raise the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Pharaoh's probably thinking, well, yeah, fine, whatever. You know, I haven't got time to deal with this. I've got to go hunting later today. Like, come on. Or whatever it is kings do. You know,
Right.
I have a budget meeting. Whatever. Do whatever you got to do.
But I love this line in verse 6. When she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby was crying.
Yes.
She took pity on him and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children.
Yeah. As one does. Like when
That's a very feminine thing.
it is. It's marvelous. Like when my brand new baby daughter is crying, which happens, every woman in the house just flocks to the baby, right? They're fighting over the baby.
Yeah.
All my daughters are like, it's my turn to hold Rosie. It's my turn. I'm like, okay, we're going to set up a schedule. You get this half hour, then you get,
Yeah.
yeah. No, this is great.
I want to think about Moses' mother for a moment, who conceived, bore a son. It says she was a Levite woman.
Yep.
It says elsewhere that she was a daughter of Levi. You know, when we were talking earlier about 4 generations from Levi, Kohath, Amram, Moses, Aaron, Miriam. Okay, 4 generations. It speaks about Amram taking a wife, taking Levi's daughter as a wife.
Right.
Levi's daughter, it says, in particular. So there, it's like 3 generations on that side.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is that Moses' mother is an older lady.
Yeah.
She's no spring chicken. She conceived and bore a son. But she's an old and wise woman.
Yep.
I don't think she was unaware of the dynamics of what was going on. She was not only aware, but she was ready to take action. We need somebody in Pharaoh's house.
Yep.
Yep.
How are we going to get one there?
Yeah. Well, I've got the perfect candidate. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I can see it. Like the ladies they got their eyes open here.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the two midwives. They're walking in faith. Why not Moses' mother? Yeah. And it's interesting too, because she parks her daughter, Miriam, next to the baby.
Keeping eyes out.
Keeping an eye on the baby, which is prudent, right? You don't want a crocodile coming up and eating your baby.
Right.
It's funny because the Pharaoh's daughter opens the ark, sees the child, takes pity. And then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, so she's standing right there. So Pharaoh's daughter is like, oh, a baby. And then all of a sudden this girl pops out of the reeds. I have a plan for you. It's like, okay. So we've now got the second story in like as many paragraphs.
Yeah.
Where Hebrew women are running a play on Egyptians.
Yeah.
Successfully and in faith. Yeah. Shall I go and call a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you? Yes, you shall. It's marvelous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good play.
Yeah. Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages. So now,
So you're not only going to raise this child for me, I'm going to pay you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Moses, he gets weaned, and then he's presented to Pharaoh's daughter, and she actually names him Moses because I drew him out of the water. Mm-hmm. So Moses sounds like the word to draw out.
Moses means drawn.
Yeah, which makes me think of Noah, from out of water, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's passing through water into life. But so his mother gets a wage. Moses spends the first, few years of his life in his own home, learning the things of God. And now he winds up in Pharaoh's daughter's house. What a privileged position this fellow is in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But here are the people of God. They are being persecuted, and it's instructive to watch and to think about this in terms of the strategies that Moses' mother is employing here, bringing his big sister Miriam into the plan. The Hebrew midwives disobeying the command of the king because they've got a higher loyalty than he. This is important to us. There is a way of thinking that says, okay, you really need to just pray about that.
Right.
Pray that the Lord gives you an answer. But God teaches us, well, yeah, you are to pray and ask the Lord, but pray while you're acting.
Yep.
Pray while you're busy. Get busy. Mm-hmm. Do things and pray. I think that's a really good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be passive in our faith.
Yeah, or at Labora, work and pray.
Yeah.
Pray and work.
Yeah, and I think another fine thing here is that we can see that God is placing his man in the halls of power.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like that. I mean, it's a baby in a boat on a river.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't look like that at the beginning, but he is doing that. And this is something that God does from time to time when he's working a deliverance. He'll play a long game.
Yeah.
He'll start weaving his thread through this story way back.
Yeah.
In the midst of judgment, he begins to provide the means of salvation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and part of the time period that Israel is in Egypt is, of course, for the purpose of filling up the Amorite iniquity,
right?
As in chapter 15 of Genesis. So God said, I'm not going to give you that land until their sin is so bad I'm not going to ignore it anymore. Mm-hmm. You're going to suffer persecution in Egypt, but I'm drawing this story, and the flowering of the story is just this great sign of deliverance, this marvelous keeping of his promises, this expansion of the promises to a larger Israel than the one that went down. Right? God's doing great things. This is something to keep in mind when we look at our own day-to-day difficulties. Mm-hmm. Perhaps God is drawing a story where one of the bit players is the main player.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And that's one of the keys to learning contentment.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That God plays a long game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We live only a short time.
Yeah.
Our days are not yet like Isaiah promised, where we are as the days of a tree, so shall be the days of my people.
Yeah.
One who long enjoys the work of their hands. Mm-hmm. We're not at that point yet. And so our view is necessarily short. Mm-hmm. We're standing in the grass, and the grass is up to here. We're looking over it, trying to see down the way, but yet God sees the whole picture and is weaving things in and out that we can't really tell. Mm-hmm. We can look at that and say, okay, well, maybe God is going to do this, or maybe God is going to do that.
Yeah,
but he's got a long game going, and that long game is going to tend toward the winning of the world by the Lord Jesus through his gospel.
Yeah, our God is a promise-keeping God.
And our responsibility is not to so much let go and let God as the popular evangelical trope is, but our duty is to strive to be as faithful in the situation that God has placed us as we possibly can be.
Yeah.
And then where we fail, we have to turn to God for grace and forgiveness and strive harder.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Jesus take the wheel is bad theology.
That's right.
I tried that once. I wound up in a ditch.
And he did take the wheel.
Yeah. I remember...
straight into the ditch.
I remember once driving down that hill into Fort Nelson.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy I was with in the truck, I kept on singing Jesus Take the Wheel, and he got really annoyed. Because he was pretty scared. It was his first time driving a truck.
Oh, I think I remember that guy.
Tractor trailer, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, that was my moment of American evangelicalism.
Yeah.
And he got so annoyed that I gave it up.
All right. So let us cut this off here. We'll pick up with Moses fleeing to Midian in the next episode. It's been a delight for us to have this conversation, to dip into the book of Exodus. There are so many, many, many good themes in here that are useful for the Christian church. And so we hope that you will enjoy this as we enjoy our conversations around Exodus. You are listening to the Chinook Podcast. We're Nathan Zeckfeld, Brad Donovan, Jamie Souls. It's our delight to be able to bring this conversation to you and for you to be able to listen in. If you are not a subscriber yet, do hit the subscribe button and join us and listen to some regular content around the scriptures. So blessings to you all. I hope you all have an excellent day.